Rabbi, thanks so much for sticking around and welcome back.
No, thank you. And thank you for everything you guys do.
I host the morning show, as I mentioned, in Los Angeles, and I do that alongside Grant Stinchfield. Rabbi, you have been on that program as well. And this morning we talked to Dinesh D'Souza. And Dinesh has a new film coming out called The Dragon's Prophecy that is so timely for what we are going through right now, watching as our conservative movement is shifting away from their support of Israel and shifting towards anti-Semitism, shifting away from supporting Israel and really kind of really the tenet of the conservative movement up until this point. And I just wanted to chat with you a bit about that, Rabbi, because it concerns me. And I know Larry Elder and I both are very much solidly on the side of Israel, as are you. But there are a lot of powerful people out there that are influencers or have television shows or radio shows of their own that really seem to be hanging on to this anti-Semitic message. Why do you think that is?
Let's back up for just a second if we can. I think any conservative needs to take these words to heart, which is, I was at a brunch with Marco Rubio. This is 8 years ago or whatever it was. And there were only a few people there. And I asked him about Israel. And he pointed out that more than anything, America needs to always support Israel unconditionally. It is the front line in the war against freedom, against Western civilization. Moreover, our allies will look to how we treat Israel. And if we betray Israel, they will look to China or Russia or another nation to become allies with. So it's so important that every conservative recognizes, forget about everything else on a geopolitical level, Israel is the only partner for America in that region, and it's consistent. So I think that there's a lot of hatred, and it comes from really large people, Candace, Owens, Tucker Carlson, Ian Carroll, people who have large followings. And these are not intelligent pundits. Candace Owens is not a smart girl. I'm sorry if that offends anyone. She's just not. She's very true. She's very charismatic, but she really doesn't even know her own theology. And I just wrote an article. I don't know if you read it, Jennifer. I wrote an article that came out this week on American Thinker. Many of these anti-Semites are saying the Talmud says, which is one of our sacred texts, the Talmud says Jesus is an excrement in hell or pedophilia is okay. Obviously, the Talmud doesn't say anything like that. And they're taking their quotes from an 18th century book called Talmud Unmasked by a defrocked priest who was a convicted felon, who just made up stuff. And I actually, in this article, put together right next to each other what Candace Owens is saying about the Talmud, what the Talmud really says. And they just fabricated things. They've chosen to take a lot of hate and put it at Israel and put it at Jews. I think at a deep level, it's because of their own lack of faith. Pastor Rob McCoy and I are dear friends. He accepts Jesus into his heart. I respect that and I love that. He accepts that I don't. He'd love me to accept Jesus because then he believes I'd be in heaven with him, but he respects me and we love and treasure each other. And, that's not what people with lack of faith believe. If they don't believe deeply in their hearts, then my very existence causes them to question their theology.
Right.
And that's a hard place. Candace, as an example, is married to a guy who's part of a Catholic cult, a sect that isn't even recognized by the Vatican. I wrote an article 2 years ago calling out both Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens for their anti-Semitism. Got a lot of hate for that. I've received, as you know, a tremendous amount of hate for that. But when Tucker Carlson made a comment 2 years ago that October 7th what's the big deal? It's no different than the fentanyl crisis in the United States. To even be able to make that moral equivalency shows that you really don't either understand what happened on October 7th or you don't care because, after all, it's just Jews.
You know,
So there's a lot of hate.